I have some background in grappling, wrestling in particular. I know the types of injuries you go through. Could you explain a little bit about that and perhaps how that led you in the pathway of this technology?
Like you said, I'm a jiu-jitsu fighter. I've been doing jiu-jitsu every single day since I was 3 years old. And with that, for sure, comes your fair shares of tweaks and injuries. It's not the safest sport in that regard, for your ligaments. So, over time, definitely built a couple little compensations and had a lot of little just nagging injuries I had to deal with just over time. That's when I went with my chiropractor. He introduced me to Colin at the time. He was over in the office, and then thank God, because he strapped me up to the arm. Yeah, and then I was just rattled because, for so long, for years, I was feeling so separated. It almost felt like my shoulder had a mind of its own, right? And then, in my left knee, I didn't feel connected, and then putting that machine on, just doing a couple of simple, basic movements, like squats, a couple shoulder mobility stuff. I couldn't believe how much connection my body felt. I felt like everything was working in unison, how it was supposed to be. Kind of like reminded me like when I was a little kid. I almost felt like reborn, or like at least 10 years younger. From that on, I was like, all right, we got to figure this out. What is this machine?
Can you explain your pathway to jiu-jitsu? You mentioned, some of your injuries. What has ARPneuro done that kind of gave you that wow factor of, okay, I need this for my career to continue to advance?
The day I met Colin, I was going into G, and I was just complaining about feeling like my body was working in pieces, right? And not all together as a unit, And so I was just talking with G about what I could do. He was like, here, actually try this. We got Colin in today. Try this machine, this ARP. Just like any other machine, you try a bunch of machines in your life, right? At least for me, at that point, I've been a bunch of different places for PT, right? Tried a bunch of different machines, all that different tens units and stuff, So, I threw the machine on, threw it on some pads. I just did some simple stuff. I did some squats, I remember. I did some shoulder mobility. Those were like the two things I did mainly. And I just couldn't believe how much stronger and connected my legs felt. I got one leg significantly better than the other. I won't tell you because I don't want to keep it a secret, but one side significantly better. And I felt even, after doing the squats, and not only even, I felt stronger too. I was really rattled. It's not often that I'm super just rattled on a device like that, In my last fight, 2 days before the event, my hip was all locked up, my hip and leg, right? So couldn't really move too well. Probably from just traveling, was in Thailand, had like a 20-hour flight, right? All gnarly, so won't get there. I was all locked up. And 2 days before, I was hitting the ARP heavy, and just pulled majority of the stiffness out of my leg. Got it feeling like the other one. And then right before my fight, about 15 minutes before, I felt my legs, same story, a little bit. Felt a little tired and then, a little tight. So I threw the ARP on about 15 minutes before the scrap, and then felt alive. My legs felt great. It felt strong. They felt ready to go. It's such a rad machine. It's such a rad thing is to be able to feel on and connected and powerful, just by slapping some things on for a second, So just bringing that connection back has been the biggest thing for me from the ARP.
Can you explain this picture?
Oh, that was that day, I think, right?
That was the OG. Yeah. Colin brought that machine into G's and changed my life that day for sure. So yeah, that's the big unit right there. I remember that.
Well, you, Tye, as you're going through your training, I know you're getting ready. CJI's coming up, right? And then just like in the past, all the ADCC stuff you've been doing, as far as training goes, are you doing anything on the mats mobility wise with the device on? Or is it more of like kind of an interventional thing? All right, I'm feeling locked up. I'm feeling tight. I'm feeling like my leg's hurting me a little bit. I'll use it now. Or are you kind of supplementing it into a lot of different kind of areas of your training?
The days that I have time, for sure, I implement it before and after training. Before training, I like to strap them on, usually like my legs and hips. Jiu-jitsu targets the hips a lot. Your hips get really tight, over a long period of time. So I do a lot of foundation training, a lot of inward rotation, a lot of like that yoga type poses, right? Where you just kind of hold them out, trying to create space and decompression. And I noticed that the machine helps to just create that space. I don't like to inward rotate too much. My hips don't like it, but when I put the machine on and I do those rotations, it definitely makes it, I don't know if I'd say easier, but for sure, I feel it getting stronger in that position. When I take the machine off, I feel like my inward rotation is way better every time.
So are you using a lot of this before your matches, or is it something you're using predominantly for like recovery, after your training?
I'd say both for sure. You know, I'll even explain real quick in my last match how that ARP affected me so positively in that manner, because the match prior, I had like a little incident after the match, a little vagus nerve thing. What I realized was that it was really kind of affecting like my hand-eye coordination, right? And then also my like ability to handle stress didn't seem stronger like it was, you know. Match day, went into the back warm-up room with my brother. We got a good scrap in. And after we got a good warm-up scrap, I couldn't recover. You know, like my heart rate wasn't going down. Like mentally, it was weird. I couldn't bring myself back down. But I could just tell it was maybe something more neurological than anything. So threw on the ARP actually, right? Went outside in the sun. I managed to drop my heart rate way down. Just that feeling of the ARP being on my legs and my hips, and just knowing that my hips are feeling good, knowing that my body's working well. That gave me the confidence that I needed. Now that's what brought a good mindset to that match, you know.
What are you using it for now? I'm guessing you currently aren't having any injuries, certainly ones that you're probably not going to talk about, because I know there's a lot of aches and pains in the grappling world anyway. But are you using it for more performance side, or is it essentially just when something comes up?
Yeah, I've been doing a couple little rehab projects with it for sure. And then every day pretty much using it for the connection and the strength aspect of things. This feeling's just so grateful for the product, honestly. You guys, thanks again for sending it through. And I've had so much fun on it the last couple of months. Fun's not the right word. I've been so blessed. I've been so blessed to use it, you know, and it's just keeping me alive, keeping my career going, you know. And yeah, I'm just grateful.